need a president that respects the Constitution, understands that there are a few things that are actually enumerated in the Constitution, and everything else is left to the states. I respect that 10th Amendment, but I also respect that Constitution. If you elect me President of the United States, the border will be secured.
2016 presidential candidate Rick Perry on this program just a little earlier this hour, telling us why he would be a good president, especially in dealing with border issues. Now, former Governor Perry is one of many conservative candidates in this race for president, and this time he hopes to have greater success, obviously, than he did in 2012. Now, where does Rick Perry stand in terms of conservatism? It's the perfect topic for someone who knows quite a few things about the conservative movement. Skyping in from Rappahannock County, Virginia, Richard Viguerie, the chairman of ConservativeHQ.com. Richard, it's great to have you back on Newsmax Prime.
Always a pleasure to be with you, my friend.
Well, we just heard Governor Rick Perry say that he understands the Constitution and the responsibility to protect the border. He also understands the 10th Amendment. What is your take on Rick Perry as a conservative candidate?
Well, Rick had a golden opportunity to be the leader of the conservatives in the 2012 election, and I think probably most conservatives were prepared to support him in the fall of 2012, but his campaign was disorganized and it didn't come together, and of course self-imploded. And then he basically disappeared, like Rick Santorum. Reagan, after he lost, as you remember, did he, in 1976, stayed fully engaged. He led the opposition to give away the Panama Canal. He fought for us on this issue, that issue, had a daily radio show, a syndicated column, fully, totally engaged. But for the most part, Rick Perry, Rick Santorum, and some others have not they've been AWOL for the last few years. And now there's some new exciting people on the horizon, like Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Scott Walker. So it's going to be hard to compete with these people who have been carrying our water for us for the last few years now and leading our cause.
Well, there is one similarity Rick Perry shares with Ronald Reagan in terms of the fact they were both Democrats who became strong conservatives. Does the Perry past history with Al Gore and those guys in the 80s hurt him?
No, I'd be honest with you, J.D., until you mentioned that, I'd forgotten that.
Well, if you've forgotten, then probably everybody else has too, haven't they?
You're right. I think 99% of the conservatives have no idea that at one point Rick Perry was a Democrat. I don't think that's an issue in this campaign.
Well, it's been very interesting. We conducted, admittedly, a non-scientific poll, had our viewers and Newsmax.com readers respond for their choices, and here's the way it stands right now. It's another Texan, Ted Cruz, atop this current evaluation with 18%. He's followed by Dr. Ben Carson at 15%. Then come Jeb Bush, Mike Huckabee, and Scott Walker at 4%. Chris Christie and Rand Paul at, Bush, Huckabee, and Walker at 5%. Chris Christie and Rand Paul at 4%. And the aforementioned Rick Perry at 2%. Donald Trump did not register a percentage. I know it's early, but do you have a take on this? Is Ted Cruz perhaps the conservative choice at this point?
Clearly, he's of all the candidates, Ted Cruz is the most popular among conservatives, no question about it. However, I will say I think the majority of conservatives right now, JD, are sitting on the sidelines. I had dinner with Ted Cruz a few days ago, and he went into great detail about his campaign, and it was exceedingly impressive. This is somebody that's going to surprise most of these pundits who have probably written him off. I think he's if there's a sleeper in the campaign who's ready to break loose, it's Senator Ted Cruz from Texas. I think he's going to be shocking a lot of people very quickly here about how well he's organized his campaign. He's very, very serious, and I'm impressed with what I've seen so far of Cruz.
Well, let me ask you, with the minute that remains, someone else who has surprised some and shocked others, Dr. Ben Carson. He certainly has his appeal within the conservative movement. Your take on Dr. Ben?
He's a wonderful person, and I'm sure he's a good conservative, but conservatives don't know much about him. We don't know his views on foreign policy, on judges, on the role of government. Is he going to be prepared, as Ted Cruz would say and Rand Paul, to take a knife to the federal government, greatly reduce its size? Also, remember the President of the United States is head of his party, so he'd be head of the Republican Party. We don't know anything about him. So I think he'd make a good cabinet officer, but I don't think he's going to be a serious contender for the nomination.
Well, Richard Viguerie, as always, we appreciate your analysis and your evaluation of what goes on. We'll be talking to you again soon, sir, and you have our thanks. Now,
thank you.
You heard what Richard had to say. What is your take on the presidential sweepstakes? Like to hear beyond just a name. Why don't you email me? You can also use Facebook, Twitter, and our website page, newsmaxtv.com/comments. We'll be right back.